and welcome into episode 7 of For What It's Worth. I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. I am joined by always Erik, Tyrone, Bryan. How's everyone doing today?
Fantastic.
Another day trying to be great, man. Just like BCat said, fantastic. Trying to make something move, accomplish something, maybe break a record or something. I don't know.
What record would you go for that you're trying to break here?
Today,
Yeah.
most money won in a day. Most money received in a day.
I wonder what that record is. It's got to be some kind of lottery. No, it doesn't. It's probably some under table big business.
Bought a company.
Yeah.
Unless buys the moon. That's
I was gonna say there's no written record of this kind of money. I would like to know though the most money received in a day. I'm wishing you luck, man. You still got some time before the day's over. Erik, Bryan, I know you guys were on a trip for spring break. Now you're back into the routine of school. How's that hitting you?
Sucked.
It was a great week off.
It was.
Yeah, man, I bet so.
I'm missing it.
It was much needed. Yeah.
I know we kind of talked about it last podcast about just what you guys were going to do and all, but what were the highlights from each of you? Each of you give me one big highlight from the trip.
You got it first.
We played Tiger Woods' designed course in Branson, Missouri.
Okay, now that is
phenomenal.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. That is really dope. What about you, Bryan? What was your highlight?
So on this course, he has a 19th hole that's like it's like a little par 3 over water. I was the only one who got on, and I was very close to
Okay.
Did
All
miss
right.
the putt though for birdie, so it could have been better, but it's all right.
I can go back and edit that out for you. We'll make it sound like you ended up getting the birdie there. But that's awesome. I'm glad you guys had fun and got a golf. And I think me and Tyrone, you had work though, didn't you, this past week?
One of them days, man. It's
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I just didn't know when your spring break was, but
I don't really have one, but it's all good.
that's fair. Yeah, I guess we're.
Here's a spring break every week.
I would say you guys better enjoy your spring breaks now because you know it's hard to get those when you hit the working world. Yeah, it's Hey, oh, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Not trying to scare you guys or
I'm already
make the future sound so bad. It's all right. You guys will do fine. But you guys were out having fun and swinging the clubs around and whatnot. The NFL, they were getting busy. There was a lot of moves since the last time we all talked. And of course, you guys are going to go enjoy your spring break. Me and Tyrone had work. So this is the time that we all get to come together, and we got a lot to talk about. So let's dive right into it. I want to start off with Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta. And I think the question I'm going to pose for you three is, will he make a huge impact in Atlanta? Because I think we can all agree he's going to make an impact. But how huge is that impact going to be? And I think for tonight's episode, I am going to start with Bryan. Bryan, how much of an impact do you think Kirk Cousins can make for the Atlanta Falcons?
I think he is going to make a huge impact because I think the main thing is what's been holding Atlanta back is they have a lot of young talent on the offensive side that hasn't been used properly. They don't know if they don't know how to use Bijan, but he's only been in the league for 1 year. But Kyle Pitts and Drake London, Kirk Cousins is going to increase their game tremendously. Okay, Kyle Pitts has already said, as long as I get targets, and I know damn well Kirk Cousins is going to get him targets. And Drake London, he's going to get 1,000 yards this year. So me and Erik can actually bet on him and feel confident. So he's going to make a huge impact for that offense, and I am very excited to see how well he does this year.
Yeah, and before I go to the other two, I want to highlight one of your facts that you brought up there is the fact that he's going to be working with a young core on offense, and that young offensive core now has someone that they can look up to, as not only a mentor, but just someone who's a veteran, someone who can, control the flow of a game. As you mentioned, young running backs, young receivers, a young tight end. It's not going to hurt. Ultimately, it's not going to hurt regular season, but will that hurt playoffs? Because I think Kirk Cousins could get this team to the playoffs, but is that youth going to hurt? Erik, you don't have to answer that question just yet, but what do you think Kirk Cousins' impact can be in 4 years with the Falcons?
It's a huge improvement from who they had last year. So, already I've been seeing, tweets, Instagram stuff about how dominant the Falcons are going to be in the NFC South. I think Ty's laughing at how bad the NFC South is. I hope.
Yeah,
'Cause
Tyrone.
Oh,
What was that about, Tyrone? What did you not like there that Erik said?
dominant. That's just not.
in the NFC South, you have to finish a sentence, dude. The NFC South is terrible.
Dominant.
They almost
Yeah.
won the division, and they had Desmond Ridder at the quarterback.
Yeah, now you have a veteran coming in.
I mean, you know how I feel about veterans, Calvin.
Okay, this is different than Russell. Okay.
All right, hold on. We'll get to you, Tyrone. Erik, did you have anything else to say about it?
I mean, I think me and Bryan are on the same page. I mean, we just need someone to throw the ball to Drake London.
For the
Okay,
love of God.
Fair enough. And like I said, I think bringing in a 36-year-old Kirk Cousins who's at least had some playoff experience, not very good experience in the fact that of his record, which we'll get to in a second, but has that experience and has worked with young guys, older guys. So he kind of has that balance there. I think it's going to be good for those young core players. Tyrone, you don't sound too confident that Kirk Cousins can do much in 4 years, or at least to start this year. What do you think his impact's going to be for the Falcons moving forward?
I think right now his impact's going to be pretty high for the Falcons. I mean, he's an old quarterback coming off of a Achilles injury. I'm
Yep.
sure. So their
Yep.
window is a lot smaller than they think. This is like the third or fourth time we've seen a team go after an older quarterback trying to plug and play and make their team win. First time you got the Bucs doing it with Tom Brady. So that is, I guess, hypothetically, that is a ceiling. You also got somewhere in the middle, which is the Broncos, and you just overpay for no reason. Then, which I'm going to knock on wood, but this is a very likely option. They could be the Jets of last year and just have this old quarterback who comes out and plays. And, unfortunately, hopefully he does not get hurt. But, he's coming off of a Achilles injury. So I have some question marks with the Falcons.
Yeah, and I think the question mark of his Achilles is a fair one. Like you said, 36 years old. That's not an easy injury to come back from. Now, he's not really a scrambler and out of pocket type of quarterback. So it's not going to necessarily hurt him as much, but I think that's still something to be worried about. Now, I will say this, and I want you guys to chime in after this fact. I think him going to the Falcons, though, is not bad for his career. And here's why. He's going to be working with Zach Robinson, who worked with Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles when they won the Super Bowl. That was a guy that was an older quarterback coming in. Here you go. Now you're bringing an older quarterback into a new team. That's something there, too. Puka Nacua had the most receptions and receiving yards by a rookie in NFL history with Zach Robinson on the team. As you guys were mentioning, Drake London now. You know what I mean? So Kirk Cousins, yes, it's scary that he's 36 and coming off this Achilles injury, but he honestly has some nice pieces around him, whether that's a young core of offensive players or even his offensive coordinator.
No, yeah, he does for sure. I don't think, man. Maybe I was just laughing too much at the word dominate, but they definitely are in a great spot to make the playoffs. Probably, I'll say, in my mind, how my mind works. I'm like, their ceiling is probably like maybe 10 wins, maybe 11 if they dominate the division. Maybe. This is all assuming that Young doesn't take that step too. Young might come in next year. And be
Come
that
on,
dude.
no.
He might be that dude
He ain't making
next
that
year.
big of a step.
Who did you
No,
say, Ty?
He's the best quarterback in his division next year. Why not?
No,
Why
it's
not?
not. It's not going to be Bryce Young.
No, this year. Why can't he be?
Oh, it's just not going to be.
Why can't he be?
The
Well,
Panthers
here's
just
the
lost
thing.
their best player. And
Well,
Brian
here's the
Burns.
thing too. Is Kirk Cousins plays so well regular season, and we always see that. I mean I can bring up all the stats that I need to for you here, and so he's going to be better than the Bryce Young and the Panthers in the regular season. I trust him more than I do Baker Mayfield, so I think I think they can be better than the Bucs. I think they're better. I think the Falcons can win the NFC South. I'm with Erik here now. Dominate? I don't know about dominate, but I think they can win it.
I don't know
I
about
agree.
dominant. I really am a fan of, like, last episode we are talking a lot about how the Pittsburgh Steelers have this winning culture. Well, the Falcons don't have none of that. Like, these guys that have been losing all of their careers and stuff, they're not just gonna be like, all right, man,
But that's what I'm saying. You're bringing in Kirk Cousins now, a veteran. I think he kind of brings a different kind of a culture, and I think he can almost relate to some of these young guys too. You know, you're not just bringing in some old, grouchy, strict young man, which could help, or older man, which could help some of these younger guys. But also, just having someone that's more relatable can also help play more loosely. Now, this really isn't X's and O's. This is more related to chemistry. But I think that's something that could be brought up too and talked about. I think he's a good locker room guy as well.
No,
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, everybody loves Kirk with the chains on. I get it. But
Yeah.
I just think that maybe I'm underestimating how powerful getting a quarterback that everybody likes is.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying though. I'm saying that they're going to be improved. I think they can make the playoffs, but I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins in these 4 years is going to take him to a Super Bowl. I don't think so. I don't think obviously he's not a long-term factor. He's 30 or a long-term deal. He's 36. I know they signed him for 4 years, but he's not a long-term quarterback. After those 4 years, he's probably going to be done if he goes that far. Now, of course, bearing no more injuries. So it's kind of win now if that's what you want Kirk Cousins to do. And I just don't think he's a Super Bowl now quarterback, especially with the pieces that you have. 1-4 in the playoffs in 12 seasons. Well, that's really bad. That's really bad. That's what I'm saying. In 12 seasons, you're 1-4. You've only played in 5 games. Now, be it he was with the Redskins. They were the Redskins at the time. Now the Commanders, but
Can you say that?
still, I don't know. I think so. I mean, at the time they were the Redskins, so try not to get canceled out here. So I just think that's something to keep in mind too. So I don't think he's a. Do any of you think he could take him to a Super Bowl or even an NFC Championship? I don't even think he gets there. Not in 4 years.
No, but like kind of tie what you're saying. I think these young guys, getting a guy like Kirk coming in, I'd much rather as like a young wide receiver. I'd feel much more confident, much more like determined, and have like that bigger drive, knowing that I have Kirk Cousins as my quarterback compared to Desmond Ridder. Kirk Cousins is at least proven that he can get to the playoffs. I mean, yeah, he's 1-4. He has at least won a playoff game, and he's gotten there multiple times.
Recent seasons.
Yeah, and also you're in the NFC too, which is a lot easier to get a win compared to in the AFC. Okay, like there's only a few really good teams at the top in the NFC, and since you're in the NFC South, you're most likely going to be playing like probably the first wild card team at the 5 seed, most likely, unless one of those other teams has a off year. So your matchup first round could be positive with being in the worser division in the NFC.
So I have a question for you guys. So,
okay.
Like we've had like 5 of these instances, or let me count on my hands. You got Tom Brady going to the Bucs. Obviously, he won a Super Bowl. You got Stafford going to the Rams. He won a Super Bowl. And the last 2 old guys, it's been opposite. It's been crash and fall and burn down and everything sucked. Russ to the Broncos, not good. As of right now, Aaron to the Jets, not good, all bad. So what do you guys think that obviously we just said he's not going to win a Super Bowl for the Falcons, but how far away do you think he's going to be? You think he's going to be that guy in the middle to where like maybe they're not falling and burning down, but they're just going to be right there in the middle being complacent?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're not going to be quite the Vikings, obviously, but I think they're going to be kind of a step below. So, like I said, I think he can get them to the playoffs. They can maybe compete in a wild card round. I just don't see an NFC Championship or a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. He just hasn't. Like I said, great regular season guy. We have a few of those in the league. I love to bring up one. His name's Dak Prescott. But we have a few of those guys, and it's a trend. A lot of them haven't proven that they can do something in the playoffs, and Kirk Cousins hasn't proven that to me. So I'm not gonna hop on the bandwagon. I like his young core that he has. I think that's gonna help him, and I think he's gonna help them. I still just don't think it's enough for an NFC Championship, and that just might be the quarterback that Kirk Cousins is. And if anything, if you're Atlanta, he holds you down for a little bit, and you guys aren't sinking. You guys aren't only winning a handful of games a year. And so I think you can be appreciative of that until something kind of smooths itself out. But you never know. Kirk Cousins could go off. He could have a resurgence. But to make a long story short, Ty, I know I kind of rambled there, but I think he improves the team, but not Super Bowl level. I think it is that middle of the pack area.
Good. That's what I was thinking too, man.
Mhm.
Dude.
With
They
the Steelers.
the Falcons had 7 wins last year.
Okay.
FanDuel has a bet that says the Atlanta Falcons to win 10 or more regular season game is at
10.
minus 165. So they're at least the books are at least giving Kirk Cousins a 3-win improvement from the Falcons last year.
You also have
I'm
to
gonna go
remember
under
they won
based
7
I,
games, so their
I'd
schedule is
give
going to be easier too. They're going to play worser teams. They're going to favor the bottom half of the league. So you have to take that into consideration. You know, those close games they lost last year, I think that flips them with Kirk, you know. They lost to the Vikings, somehow they lost to Josh Dobbs. So,
Well,
that's
I don't
fair.
think Kirk Cousins is gonna play all the games next year. So at some point in the season, he's old now. He's old, guys, man.
what, you think he's going to get hurt or like you don't think he's going to be back in time?
I mean, maybe a combination of both. Like when you're old, like these things compile. It's not like he's getting any faster, bigger, stronger. His durability is literally going down and down and down and down. Like getting hurt at 35 is not like a sign of like, oh my God, he's improving. No, like that's like a whoa question mark. Like, will he be the
When's
same? Like that's a real deal question.
When's the last time like a quarterback of his age has actually like taken just a week off because of his like age? Like I don't think that really happens in the NFL.
No,
Like
I'm
unless they
not
actually have
saying.
like a
I'm
real
saying
injury.
no. I'm not saying like he's gonna be like I'm taking a week off. I'm saying like okay, if he has any other minor injury or any other injury, like that could definitely he can. He's coming off of a Achilles injury and he's 36.
Are you saying? Are you trying to
So
say
the
something like
odds
he
of
could
him getting
re-aggravate that
yeah, the odds of him getting hurt are
or
way
something like that?
higher
Okay.
than like any other
Okay.
like not
No,
even
and no, and I agree with you.
Right.
And like I said, I think that's a worry, and that's what I'm saying. He signed a 4-year contract. Will he even finish out those 4 years? That's to be determined. But like I also mentioned, he's not really one of those quarterbacks you need to really move a lot, and so that helps his case a little bit.
I
Let's
mean
go to. Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
no. I was gonna say like just looking at what happened to Aaron Rodgers last year, I would definitely be like we're kind of almost cooked because the Jets are probably in the same situation. Like, oh, I don't know how he's gonna start this year off and how he's gonna play. That's another conversation for a different day.
I like it. Well, we'll save it. We'll save it for another day. Let's go to Justin Fields to the Steelers, and I got to ask the question first off, and I'll give my answer after you. Ty, we'll go to you first here on this one. Russell Wilson, he still deserves to be the starter, right? Even with Fields coming in, or do you have an open competition? Because right now, Russell's your starter, in my eyes.
I would say that right now I would have Russ be the starter as of right now, just to where just where the Steelers are at. Just Mike Tomlin being the coach as well too. The Steelers are always putting themselves in a position to where I guess every year is a win now year. And I mean Justin Fields is not a lose now quarterback. He's more of on the developmental side, which I don't even really think he is. I think he just got a bad hand of cards dealt to him. But I guess Russ
He did.
should be the starter.
I mean, yes, he did have a bad hand dealt to him, which is part of why he's not as successful as some thought. I'm glad you said that too, because you're bringing in 2 quarterbacks now that are excited to get their careers back on track. You have Russell coming from Denver. Him and Sean Payne obviously did not mix well with all that stuff coming out now about how much they, fought and how much pressure just Russell felt all season and egos and all this and that. So now he gets a chance to come back and revive his career. You're bringing in Fields, who everyone was trying to write off. And like you said, maybe he got dealt a bad hand. Now he's getting a better hand. And 2, he's learning from a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So you sign Russell for a year, maybe if he's not the guy, now, you bring up Fields. And if Fields is your backup, that's not a bad backup to have at all. And you're only spending $4.5 million for the 2. So you get rid of some of that junk you had in your quarterback room. You bring in 2 guys that are excited to get back on track. I think that's going to say a lot. Bryan, is Russell your starter, or do you think there should be a fair, open competition?
I think as of right now, he should be considered the day one starter. But I mean, the season is still so far away. I mean, if I think he should get a fair chance if he proves something at training camp and all that, and he shows that okay, maybe he's getting the offense a little bit better than Russ. Then sure. give it to him. But I think how it's gonna go this year in Pittsburgh, it's gonna be still kind of how it was last year, where you still don't know who's the better quarterback, and you're gonna see both Fields and Wilson during the season. Now, who ends up actually, who they decide to go with going forward, because I heard something that the Steelers are trying to maybe after this year extend Russell long term. If that's the right decision, I don't know, but I think it's going to be a mix of both still going into the year. But I think Russell should be the day one guy as of right now.
Well, I'd hope they'd learn too from the Broncos' mistake in not extending the guy before he even plays a game, uh, which I still can't believe that they did that. Erik, is Russell Wilson still should be the starter, or do you think Fields should get a good chance to start that Week 1 game?
Um, I think they should go with Russell. Unless pretty pretty much what Bryan was saying. Unless they, just see like, hey, maybe we just do this for fun, or not for fun, but like just to see like somewhat of a quarterback competition, not like a full head on like compete for the one spot, but like just kind of scope it out. But I think as of right now, which seems pretty obvious that they're kind of going with that.
Yeah, and I think too this is good for Russell, because I think Fields is the kind of quarterback, especially a backup quarterback, that is just enough to kind of keep his heels hot, if that makes sense. I don't think that Fields is enough to take his spot right now, because as I've been saying, I think Russell should be the Week 1 starter and maybe even the whole season, unless, of course, he was just struggling or injuries. But also, I think that Fields isn't bad to the point where it's like, oh, he has no shot. And so I think there's still a little added pressure for Russell too, where he's just not going to walk in and just be like, oh, this is completely mine, and kind of get that big ego like he did in Denver. Steelers like to utilize play action pass. It's going to work in Justin Fields' favor when he does play, or if he is the answer for the future. That's kind of just what I had to say about this Steelers and Fields topic. If there's something that you guys want to bring up, let's keep talking about it. But if not, I'm ready to move on.
This should be Hard Knocks in the offseason. This is what it should be. It should be
That's
Russ
a good idea.
and Justin Fields in training camp. Number 2, I like to say to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, in my opinion, this is stupid. This is
Why? Why? How's it stupid? Are you talking about bringing in the 2 quarterbacks?
yeah. I would.
How's that stupid? Tyrone, you're paying $4.5 million for the 2 of them. You get 2 decent quarterbacks for $4.5 million. You probably have one of the best backups in the league.
That decent quarterback play and great backups don't win you nothing. That don't get you nothing. That gets you nothing. That doesn't get you anything.
Tyrone, they have Russ.
So how does it matter? Like,
If Russ goes down, or if Russ struggles.
In my recent memory, I do not remember any team that ever had a serious quarterback battle. That team actually be good. Like the teams that are really good, they know who their quarterback is. 1,000.
No, but it'd be nice to have. It'd be nice to be like the Eagles, just in case if you need a Nick Foles type, to kind of,
That's getting lucky.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than skilled, man. I'm just saying, and people say, well, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, and I agree to that. But also, what does it hurt to have? And like you said, you have Russell for a year. If it doesn't work, you move on, and at least you have Fields in the back, and then if it does work out, well, then you have some leverage to play with here. So
like 2 more years of being mid. I would rather just try to draft a new quarterback, mold him up in something.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? That's how you get good. The Chiefs didn't come up with a match. They just got Patrick Mahomes. They all this other. Like,
but
you just got a good quarterback. And once you get a good quarterback, you're set.
Yeah, but they also had someone. They had someone that had a veteran experience above him, though, above Mahomes.
Yes, but you don't really need. Well, shout out.
And Russell's a good person to learn from. He won a Super Bowl. He almost won 2. He should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
These are moves these are pawn pieces moving across the board. These aren't like league-changing moves for anything. You think the Ravens and Bengals care at all, or the Browns are concerned at all about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields on the other? They're probably like, bet, let's go. Like, it
comes back to the fact, Tyrone, that we argued about this last podcast. You still haven't learned your lesson, man. This team does not have losing seasons. This team does not play in playoffs. And so the fact that you add a Russell, you add a Justin Fields, that only makes you better. Not by miles, but it makes you a tad better. And that's all so the Steelers already are making playoffs, and they had bad quarterback play. Now you bring in at least decent quarterback play, at least with Russell.
So you're gonna make the playoffs again and does not get. They really didn't get any better. The needle didn't move at all.
We mentioned it. I said last time I think now they get a playoff win or two, and it's like the Falcons. Not every team can compete for a Super Bowl every year. You got to start somewhere. You got to build a base.
They're starting from the same spot they were last year, being mid. Like they haven't did anything.
But you add a little. They didn't do anything. They added at least one decent quarterback, and one quarterback that I don't really think is decent, but also didn't have much to work with.
They added a decent quarterback. Adding a decent quarterback gets you. That doesn't do anything to any team. Adding a decent quarterback, no.
Well, were the Steelers in contention? I mean, if the Steelers got Kirk Cousins, were they a Super Bowl team now? No, this team's just not really built for a Super Bowl, but they can at least make some more steps, and this is the right step for them. Not every team it can be a Super Bowl contender right away.
No, that's what I call delusion from the top to the bottom. Like I would never just be like, all right, guys, like let's just be in the middle. Like let's just be all right. I'd rather try to win and lose. Like try my hardest to go all out and win a Super Bowl and be a Super Bowl contender. If that happen, that's fine. But if you keep being mid, you're not gonna shock the world this year. No, you're just gonna maybe win a playoff game, then go home, and that'll be it.
Well, they don't have the picks for a quarterback, and I don't really think there was any quarterbacks that was really going to take them above and beyond. Besides, like maybe a Williams, but obviously they weren't going to get anything like that. So, what they did, I think, was the right move. Erik, Bryan, anything on this topic?
What after Ty said, even if Justin Fields, that whole idea doesn't work out, the fact you got a first-round quarterback for a sixth-round pick. Even if nothing works out, that's worth taking the risk.
Who was a starter last year?
I think you can admit that because, I mean, a sixth-round pick who was a guy who was taking the first round.
Who started last year?
Who got a bad hand. So maybe things will change here, but I think that risk is worth taking for a sixth-round pick. I mean, not everybody is good and knows how to use their late-round picks effectively like some teams, like the Chiefs and other teams, Not everybody is good at hitting those late-round draft picks, so...
Well, and Tyrone, you were talking about, why don't they just get a quarterback for the future? Why don't they go try to draft this, that, and this? Why can't Justin Fields potentially be that franchise quarterback? Like you were saying, you think he got dealt a bad hand. This could be a good hand. He's learning from Russell. This could be their future quarterback. He could take a big step. He's young. It's not like you're bringing in a guy that's 28, 29. This guy's still young. He can still be molded. So I
mean, it's very true, but like just the fact that like I think that like yes, it's for a sixth-round pick, getting him on your team is a steal. But like my mindset is also thinking, well, if he's that good, then why did he go for a sixth-round pick then? Like why did
he plays for the Bears?
He plays for the Bears, and I don't.
Why did all these teams? Essentially, every team passed on Justin Fields to a certain degree. Everybody knew he was for trade. I guess every team didn't need a quarterback, but all the teams that wanted a quarterback, they looked at him and said, "Nah, we're good," and passed on. There's a reason for that, and maybe the Steelers will play their hand right and bet on him and win. But like from what I'm seeing and from what the league is telling me, they're like, "Oh man, he might be a backup the rest of his career." I don't know.
And I think he'd be a great backup. And I think maybe what was hurting some of these teams is they were maybe almost looking at him as more of a starter, or maybe what he was telling them is he wanted to be a starter, and a lot of teams weren't going to make him that starter, so they passed up. But the fact that he got traded and is now a backup, like he has to live with that, and I think that's going to be fine. Anything more before we go to some Chiefs talk? And we got Chiefs, Ravens, and Bears still to talk about if you guys are ready.
I'm ready. Let's move on.
All right, here's one that I'm excited about. Erik, I'm sure you are excited a little bit. Bryan, I'm sure you're excited. Tyrone, I doubt you're as excited. Hollywood Brown signing with the Chiefs. The question I am posing with this topic is, does that make the Chiefs, if not already, does that make them AFC favorites? We're going to start with Bryan, but before you answer, Bryan, I just want to say, yes, it does, and I am super excited. This is the answer they needed. I'm pumped, and if I'm pumped, I know Bryan's pumped. So, Bryan, does the addition of Hollywood Brown make the Chiefs AFC favorites?
Absolutely. It was a great signing. It's a good contract, too. It's not a lot of money. It's only 1 year deal, so, if he goes out and proves, then, well, we can probably re-sign him. I did want us to go get, like, Darnell Mooney or Curtis Samuel, but I am perfectly okay with us signing Marquise Brown. Now, the next step Veach needs to do is he needs to get rid of Kadarius Toney. Okay, you get rid of him and like Sky Moore, that clears up another like $5 million cap space, which is great. So now that you have him, you got Rashid, and you still got to draft a wide receiver, but it's a great experienced wide receiver who can make plays, stretch the field as well. He's fast. I do know he has a bit of a drop problem, which kind of fits into our narrative from last year, but that's in the past. Even if it still comes into play, we can still win. So overall, it was a great signing by Veach, and I'm looking forward to how well he plays next year.
And then Erik, you'll be answering that same question next, but I'm going to hop in like I usually do after you guys bring up some points because you guys are smart. You guys know what kind of stats I take down. And here's the thing. Bryan, the fact that you're right, he's going to stretch the field for the Chiefs. It's going to be electric. Rice and Kelce, they play that short game, that mid game, or that midfield game really well. Rice only caught one pass over 20 yards, like in the air, like the ball traveled 20 yards in the air. Only caught one pass of that distance. 21 of 94 targets were charted as deep passes. He ranks 20th in average depth of target among receivers. He is a deep ball guy. And the fact that Mahomes can go deep, fact that the Chiefs, also another thing, the Chiefs have been atop the NFL in passing ever since they've started Mahomes. When he was in Baltimore, Hollywood Brown, when he played in Baltimore, their passing offense was ranked 29th. In Arizona, 16th. Now he's with a offense that is number one with passing. And your quarterback is Mahomes. And Rice almost topped 1,000 yards. And I just mentioned he was a short game receiver. Imagine what he can do with Brown now. And we know his speed. He's kind of almost like a Tyreek. Erik.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like you said, he's obviously not in Tyreek's, his exact, scale or whatnot, but he is the fastest guy he'll be the fastest guy on the field most of the time.
Yep.
So, like you were saying, he can stretch the field out more. If all of our targets are short to Kelce and Rashid like last year, and then if we get a deep ball, no one catches it, then if they add Marquise Brown down the field, it's gonna create even more problems because Mahomes, if he's deep, Mahomes is gonna put it in the exact spot it needs to be. So
100%. So that you got that, or like you mentioned, you got Rice and Kelce you got to worry about. You have Pacheco that is a hard runner, and he doesn't do it as much, but Mahomes can use his feet. That offense just got a lot more dangerous. Tyrone, does this addition make the Chiefs AFC favorite?
Here comes
no, because they already were, so it doesn't make them favorites. He didn't move them.
Okay,
that's a good answer. That's a good answer right there.
Yeah. This Chiefs offense next year will not be the best Chiefs offense ever. It'll probably be the
fair
second
right.
worst or the worst. It's not gonna. It's already reached its peak. So I'm not really unless Patrick Mahomes has the best year of his career, which I guess he technically could, but I'm not saying he won't, but statistically speaking, I would like to think, based on the fact that this guy is not Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce just got a year older, that the offense is going to be equal to last year, which isn't bad, but it's whatever. He's not going to
It's not equal to last year, man.
It is this. Essentially,
I wouldn't say it's equal. How is it?
A notch better. A notch better. I mean,
I wouldn't say that. But
I also think the Chiefs going into next year, once they know that, we can win a Super Bowl operating on this level, why would I overextend myself on offense if I miss?
I think
the Chiefs already really realized that in the playoffs. So I think the Chiefs kind of have this thing on their offense, like with the Warriors. Wow, Warriors on offense, we can get 73 wins, blah blah blah. Like Chiefs are beyond the point of stat chasing, if that makes sense. I do really think that there's really about the wins part. So their offense will obviously be effective and score points.
They got better than more than a notch, Tyrone, because the fact that they're
one guy,
dude. But that's why. But here's what I'm saying. That adds a whole different. It adds a whole different dimension to their offense now. Now they can go deep. They did not go deep at all last year, Tyrone. That was not existence in the Chiefs. Now it's something you have to worry about. That is an addition to their offense. That is more than a notch. It's not like they're adding another receiver that thrives.
Is Brown that good?
I'm not saying he's like the best receiver in the league, but what I'm saying is he at least stretches.
Like what, man?
He stretches the field for you.
Yes, he's a good weapon to utilize, but he's not a game.
He only just 2 seasons ago he had 1,000 yards. Just 2 seasons ago, that's with Lamar. And you had the whole scenario of Lamar can't pass, Lamar can't do this, that. Now you have Mahomes who we know for a fact can pass. So if he could get it done with Lamar, he's going to get it done with Mahomes. This is more than just a little notch. Their offense is now a new dynamic. Now you have to try to take away the deep game.
They had fucking Tyreek Hill. They had Tyreek Hill on their team. So how was this?
But last year they didn't have any long game.
How was this a new dynamic? Literally, how was they already had?
God, but we didn't have this defense when we had Tyreek either.
That's another thing too. They didn't even have this defense.
Okay, so this is about to be the best team ever.
It's gonna.
No, it could. It's not. It could be.
According to what you guys just said, this is about to be the best Chiefs team ever.
Let me ask you this: is Marquise Brown better than MVS? Is Marquise Brown better than MVS?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is Marquise Brown better than Kadarius Toney? Yes. Is he better than Sky Moore? Yes.
Yes.
Those are the guys he is now skipping ahead and becoming now the second wide receiver or one, depending on how we look at Rashid Rice. Okay, he's still only a second year. Okay, so now you have two legit threats plus Travis Kelce, and we still have the 32nd overall pick, which I would love to see us take Xavier Worthy or the guy out of Oregon or the other guy out of Texas, another wide receiver who would most likely be coming in now and still be better than all three of the wide receivers we still had last year. Okay. So, yeah, it takes us more than a notch.
It's a more than a notch.
So, I don't think – all right, so we're talking about a team that is not, like, bad. This is a team that won the Super Bowl. I do not think that once you win the Super Bowl, there's only so much better you can get. And I don't think that improving your receiver position by, I guess, marginally better does not move the needle that much. He's not that –
That was their main issue. They needed to do that. They had to.
No, not really. The Chiefs' offense was never. I guess it was a concern, but with Patrick Mahomes on their team, was it ever really a concern?
Come on, Ty. Going into the offseason, our two main concerns
more than any other position.
Our two main concerns going into the offseason was improve the wide receiver core and make sure we get Chris Jones and Snead back. Okay, we got Chris Jones back. Snead is at least franchise tag. Will he play this year? It's looking more and more like it as we progress farther on the free agency. And now we made a great upgrade, and we're gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah,
I get your team is going to go 3-14 this year, and you're upset about it.
No, you don't. No, because you guys won the Super Bowl and like you were the best team ever. But then you guys act like the team was so shitty that like we got one guy and now he's no. You guys were
our wide receiver core was not good last year, Ty.
It was not good, Tyrone. Like,
okay,
we lost multiple games because wide receivers dropped the ball or lined up offsides because they have no common sense.
They didn't take a step back.
Rashid Rice is going to have a better year than Brown next year. Brown is not. He's going to be good.
That's probably right, but that still doesn't. That's still you can't sweep Marquise Brown signing under the rug as just another signing. It makes a huge difference in this wide receiver core.
Tyrone, you could light up McCole Hardman out there, and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't really have to worry about that, whatever. Let's focus. But listen, we got to focus. But you throw out Brown out there, it's like, oh, not only do I have to worry about Rice and Kelce, but now I have to worry about Brown. He's better, like Bryan said, he's better than any of the other receivers they have besides maybe Rice, but I think he is a little better than Rice, but that's just because Rice, it was his first season. But what I'm saying is there was really no other threat that the defense had to worry about besides Kelce. Now it's like, oh, you have more of a threat. You can't really do as many double teams and stuff on some areas because Brown can beat you deep. That's what I'm saying. It adds a whole other factor. It's more than a notch. It's not like you're adding another McCole Hardman that's like, just leave him out there. Maybe he'll make a catch. Maybe he won't.
All right, so is this a factor that the Chiefs have never had in their offense before?
What do you mean?
Have the Chiefs ever had this factor, this type of player that can do these things that Brown has had on their team?
Ty, I think you're confusing us saying that they're improving from last year compared to us improving from when we had Tyreek Hill.
Well, I'm not confused.
I'm saying, but that's
no. Stop. What I'm saying is that yes, you're improving from last year, but as every team is still in the NFL, they still have eyes. I would be like, okay, at least I don't have Tyreek Hill. I'm still fine with that. That is okay. That's fine. Like that is fine with me. That they got a little bit better, but they don't have Tyreek Hill on their team, so at least there's that. And I would be fine with playing them with like that, and it's not Tyreek.
We haven't had Tyreek for 2 years, and we still won the Super Bowl at times. So it just makes.
I was saying this is probably And this is the best team since Tyreek Hill. And so
Yeah.
I agree with you, Brian.
You guys
It's
are
better
right.
than it's more than a notch. It's more
Yeah,
than a
you're right.
notch.
They're gonna blow him out the water, and Brown's gonna go.
He doesn't have to go crazy. If he simply puts up like 750 yards
I
and
bet
like
he has
6
more
or
than
7
1,000
touchdowns,
yards.
that right there equals the 3 wide receivers that I just named that aren't better than him. That right there, that workload equals the 3 wide receivers that suck on this team or are no longer on this team. And that right there, I just went from low to high on the oven because I just turned multiple notches.
Well, you guys said all the same stuff when you guys got Kadarius Toney. Thought he was gonna go crazy, and he fell on his face. So let's see how this guy does.
I think he's going to get 1,000 yards. So.
Marquise Brown has
He's-
proven it though. Has Kadarius Toney ever
Yeah.
had a 1,000-yard season before he came to the Chiefs?
Brown is sort of somewhat kind of he's on that line. He's all right. He's cool to me. He's not.
I
mean,
didn't
he's
answer the
definitely
question,
not like
but
Yeah.
All right.
whatever. We'll gotta
This
move on.
episode's getting it's getting a little long, so we're going to try to get these last two done quickly. We got to talk Derrick Henry to the Ravens. And here's the question I'm posing with this one. Tyrone, we'll start with you. Are the Ravens the biggest contenders to the Chiefs now with Derrick Henry? Go ahead, Tyrone. What do you think?
Why would they not? They just played him in the AFC Championship game. They were the number 1 seed. Of course, like that's obvious. Number 1 seed, and we made the AFC Championship game, and we got Derrick Henry, the greatest running back in the NFL, legacy career-wise in the NFL right now. Probably the greatest running back since Adrian Peterson, legacy-wise in the NFL right now. Came off of people thought he was done last year, but Derrick Henry was on beast mode last year. He was on beast mode. He went crazy last year, and that's the best run game in the NFL for sure. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry read option is unfathomable. That run game might be just as good as the Chiefs' offense with Brown. Who knows?
Well,
Head-to-head.
you brought up a lot of points I was going to bring up, so I won't try to steal the thunder from Erik and Bryan before they answer. I will bring up one thing, though. As you mentioned, he had a good season last year, and the crazy thing is he played behind one of the worst offensive lines last season, and he comes to a better constructed offensive line with the Ravens. And so right there in itself is something to be scared about. We'll go to you, Erik. Do the Ravens adding Henry make them the biggest contenders to the Chiefs, or is it someone else?
Yeah, I think Ty said it best. Like, they were already that, and then they just added a running back that's better than what they had.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty simple answer, I think.
Yep. All right. And Bryan, are you any arguments to that, or are you jumping on the train as well?
I mean, yeah, they're right. We played him in the AFC Championship. I think it just comes down to, in the big game, do you run the ball? That's really all it comes down to. Make sure you actually get the ball into the players that you have. So their offense has definitely improved. I mean, they lost a few guys on defense. Will it affect them? Who knows? But they're definitely the number 1 person I would be worried about as a Chiefs fan. So.
All right. And then I just want the rating to start, and then I'll give some stats, and then we can come back into it if we want to. But on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, oh, this is like the best move ever. The Ravens are the smartest team ever. 1 being like, why would you ever trade for him? Where do you rank this addition for the Ravens?
Out of scale 1 through 10, I'm gonna go with the number 8. The reason why it's number 8 is because it's a pretty solid move. But paying for older running backs is not necessarily something you do in general. But it is Derrick Henry, so I'll let it slide. So I was debating an 8 or a 9, but I'll stick with an 8. Some room, let it breathe.
Okay, Erik, 1 through 10.
They didn't trade for him, correct? They just signed him as a free agent.
I said trade, didn't I?
Okay.
I was getting loose with my words. No, you're right. Okay.
Okay.
I was getting loose with my words.
Yeah, I'll go 8 too, because I think he's a great addition to the run game, but still can't go too high for the reason that Ty said. He's an older running back. I mean, obviously the body deteriorates with age, so
yep.
Hopefully it doesn't happen, obviously, but there's a good chance he could get injured.
All right, and Bryan, 1 through 10.
I'm actually gonna give that a 10. I think, like you guys, like they said, like
Wow.
his old age affects it, but like you said, he ran behind one of the worst offensive line last year, and he still had 1,000 yards. So you upgrade his offensive line. It's a 2-year, I believe, $20 million deal, something like that. So you're only paying him $10 million a year, which is a pretty good contract for somebody who's that old. So you're really not taking that big of a risk, but at the same time, you know what you're getting back. So I think the Ravens actually did a great job, and I'm kind of pissed he went there. So I think they did a good job.
Fair enough. I just starts throwing stuff, slamming iPads like I was. No, but I gotta give this one a 7. I got to give this one a 7. One thing I do like is that Ravens running back room has just been plagued with injuries. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, just to name a few. And we mentioned that Derrick, that Derrick Henry's getting old, but he's at least durable. I mean, he's at least been pretty consistent in playing season after season, and so that's good news for the Ravens. Now, this is just superstitious stuff, but like that's kind of scary that room is always hurt, and I don't know if that's due to how they train, how they drills. I don't know, but that's something to be a little worried about. But at least he's more proven to be more durable. I like that aspect. As I mentioned, ran behind one of the worst offensive lines. He gets a better O-line. That's huge. The read option, we were talking about it. It's going to be nasty with Lamar as your quarterback. Speed kills. Henry and Mitchell, they accounted for 4 of the fastest speeds at the position last season, running back. So Lamar has his speed too. So that backfield is as dangerous as speed. Here's the problem, though, is Tyrone, and you quickly mentioned it, but Lamar usually doesn't have a running back. He has to be the guy that, he's either running it mostly, or he obviously is going to pass it because he's the quarterback. Now you have Henry. Can they balance? Can you find that balance? Can they balance it out? Can Lamar give some of his, take to Henry and not be sad or upset about it? Can Henry maybe give some of his usage to Lamar? I think that's a balance you have to kind of play with. And I don't know if that's going to set them back that first year. They can figure out year 2 and make a run. But I think that's something that could play a factor. I'll get your guys' take on that in a second. But the thing that scares me is that Taylor Lewan from Bussin' with the Boys mentioned that Henry said he wasn't a fan of read option or run pass option type of plays. That's kind of scary because that's where you could really utilize him for. And I brought that up too because in Tennessee, they always kind of ran under center. They never really did shotgun snaps and stuff. So he was always kind of a from under the center runner. And so that changes his style. Again, could kind of set you back for a year until you kind of figure it out. So yes, I still think they're the favorites to contend with the Chiefs, but I don't think they're ready, or I don't think just this addition is going to get them over that the first year because of those. So very quickly, because I just ranted and I just mentioned that the pod's getting long and I was the one holding it up. So Tyrone, does anything that I just mentioned scare you?
No, because Lamar is the most dynamic player in the NFL. I would equate him to like Steph Curry in the NBA. Steph Curry just standing at the 3 is enough for other team to be like, oh my God, we're in panic. So Lamar Jackson in the backfield, the other team doesn't know it could be just a run. Him standing there in shotgun is enough worry for the other team to be like, we at least have to prepare for a read option. The thought of him running the ball is enough. So I'm not really concerned. And he's a running back. Running back is literally the most simple position ever. Hey, I'm going to give you this ball. Then after that, you just go to work. So, I mean, I guess there could be a little bit of, mix up, but he'll be fine. Give him the ball and put your head down. And
there you go. Bryan, Erik, any of you see any red flags with anything I just went over, or just maybe as you were sitting there pondering and listening to me talk that maybe you thought, oh, wait, this could be a red flag? Anything of that sort, or you still going with the 10 out of 10 there?
Yeah, I think you ranked that a little low, honestly, because that's like I think that would be a what if, but that is something I never thought about. Like, that's literally been the last 2 years of the Ravens, whether it's the running back room or even on the defensive side, it's just injuries just kill them. Even Lamar, like 2 years ago, when Tyler Huntley almost beat the Bengals in the wild card still, but it's just
you put in too much work back in the day.
Well, and too, I think just before you go on too, the Ravens, they were a little more balanced than previous years, but usually they are a run first team, and so that's where some injuries could arise. And like we said, yes, Henry is durable, but he is getting older. So
because Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, they was hitting too.
They were hit too hard.
In the early 2000s, coming back. Those some of them hits not legal.
creators of CTE.
Oh, found
All
it.
right.
They were the CTE distributors.
The literally co-founders. All right. Last topic. Anyway, this is like a quick take segment one. We're going through real quick. We don't really have time to talk much about this. So if we want to talk about it later on in a podcast, we can. But real quick, Chicago Bears. How scared should we be now? They have DJ Moore. They brought in Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. They brought in a tight end. We would assume that they're going to sign Caleb Williams. Then I would say after you draft Williams, you get an offensive lineman, probably something that can go on the left side. They allowed the most sacks from that side, and you get that with your 9th pick, get someone really well. I still don't think we should be scared yet, but if the only time that we should be scared of the Chicago Bears for the future is if Caleb Williams gets drafted and he has a season similar to CJ Stroud and the Texans did. Maybe not his first year, but if he can have a season like that in his first 1 to 2 to 3 years, we should be actually 1 to 2 years, we should be scared. If he doesn't really have a season like that, I wouldn't be too scared of the Bears yet. That is just my thoughts on that. Bryan, I'll let you do a little quick. What do you think? Should we be scared of the Bears yet? Or what do you think they should do?
I think I completely agree with you. It comes down to how well Caleb Williams comes in and makes an impact. If he comes in and makes an impact right away, then we should be scared because they brought in the weapons that he needs. He has 2 good wide receivers. They have a good backfield, good tight ends. Their defense is young, and they signed a lot of good players last year. Their linebacking core is good. It's all going to really just come down to how well Caleb Williams plays.
All right. Erik?
I saw this thing that RG3 was talking about on Twitter today that he was saying he thinks that Caleb Williams should demand the Bears do not draft him.
Yep.
As Eli Manning did to the Chargers when he got drafted.
And it was mostly because he was saying too, right? Because they weren't just going to be able to develop him. It was going to be like Fields 2.0. And here's another thing. Okay. All right, let's say he did do that, and I think this is kind of for fun. Let's say he did do that and told the Bears no. Okay, let's say Washington was the next to pick him up, right? What? Look at Washington's history of quarterbacks. It's not much. It's not much better. But that's what I'm saying. So even if you try to demand that the Bears don't take you, your second option's not much better. It might actually be worse. So, but that is funny that he said that. I think Williams shouldn't do that because the Bears are trying. They are giving him the pieces. Now, if they did it, I still don't think he should do that. I don't think any player should do that. But if they weren't giving him the weapons, you could at least make an argument. But now I don't think you can even make an argument because they're giving him the weapons. Erik, anything else you wanted to add about just the Bears in general?
Yeah, kind of more Caleb Williams' side that he is from DC, so maybe there could be a little bit more of incentive for him to go.
That is a good point.
Aside from that, I do think that the Bears are kind of shaping up to draft him, obviously, as they should. But if he did that, it honestly wouldn't surprise me because there's this kind of agenda that he's egotistical for himself. So he's like, I don't want to play for this bad team because I'm better than that. Like that type. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. I don't think he will because they're like you said, they're trying to get all the pieces he needs to be successful.
Yep. And Tyrone, what do you think about the Chicago Bears now?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm about to order my Caleb Williams jersey as soon as he's drafted. I'm invested. I'm ready for a new young GOAT to come in and just start winning games. I expect him to play on CJ Stroud's level. That's what I expect. You just they was talking all that. That's what I expect. I don't need none of that. No, but give him I'm gonna need him to hit the ground. Hey, I don't want to hear it. I don't know. I need immediate balling out. I need it.
Yep.
The way they're generational. They're
I agree.
Pat Mahomes.
I agree.
His player comp is Pat Mahomes. So I better see Pat Mahomes numbers on that field.
Yep. I mean, like I said, even if he can't totally replicate CJ Stroud, even if he can play just slightly under, I think that's a really good sign for the Bears. So I think we can all. But that's what I'm saying too, is the fact that he has a better team. So if he does have a season like that, yeah, people should start being worried about the Bears, and then that is going to raise questions about truly how good Fields was. All right, I think that's going to wrap up episode 7 of For What It's Worth. We're almost getting to double digits. This has been a lot of fun. I don't think we're going to slow down anytime soon. Hit some good NFL free agency topics in this one. Guys, before I do my outro, is there anything that you guys want to add about anything we talked about or anything like that?
Who do you guys got in the 2031 Super Bowl? CJ
Oh, man.
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud.
Ooh,
Chiefs
yeah, he probably
versus
isn't
Chiefs
going
versus
nowhere
Bears.
anytime
Pat gets
soon.
his 7th ring and he retires.
I don't want to talk about what life would be like if that was true.
Yeah, that would be insane. All right, Erik.
That'd be awesome.
Erik, Bryan, anything you guys have to add?
Nope. I'm good.
Negative.
All right. Well, if you are listening or / watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. Go ahead, subscribe, leave a like, go ahead and comment. Make sure you share the link to your friends. Same with the Spotify. If you're listening / watching on Spotify, go ahead, leave us 5 stars, follow the page, all that, send it off to your friends, and let them hear it as well. We also have a Twitter /X account. I don't know if people have fully switched over to calling it X yet, so I still throw in the Twitter there. That is at FWIW Sports Pod, For What It's Worth, abbreviated. And you can follow us on TikTok as well. Same at FWIW Sports Pod. I'm Calvin Silvers. We had Erik, Bryan, and Tyrone, and it was a good episode. And until next time, we'll see you later.